The massive alien ship appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's deep space monitors showed nothing unusual, and the next, a vessel larger than any human-made structure hung in orbit around Jupiter. The United Earth Defense Council called an emergency meeting while dispatching their newest experimental vessel, the Defiance *, to make first contact. Captain John Miller stood on the bridge of the Defiance *, hands clasped behind his back as he stared at the alien craft on the main screen. The ship gleamed with an iridescent blue-green surface that seemed to ripple despite being solid metal. No visible weapons, no obvious propulsion systems, just smooth, elegant design that made the Defiance * look like a child's building blocks by comparison. "What do we know about them?" Miller asked. Lieutenant Samantha Hayes, the ship's weapons specialist, looked up from her console. "Nothing conclusive, sir. Energy readings are off the charts. Their hull material isn't in our database. And they're scanning us right now." Miller nodded. "Open a channel. Standard greeting protocol." The alien ship responded immediately. The view screen flickered, revealing a tall, slender being with silvery skin and 4 arms. Its eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangle, blinked in sequence as it regarded the humans. "I am Zektora, High Commander of the Valerian Collective," the alien said in perfect English. "Your primitive transmission devices were simple to decode." Miller straightened his uniform. "I am Captain John Miller of Earth Vessel Defiance *. We welcome you to our solar system and extend friendship on behalf of humanity." Zektora's mouth curled into what might have been a smile. "How quaint. Your species has barely mastered interplanetary travel. We have existed as a spacefaring civilization for 50,000 of your Earth years." Lieutenant Hayes frowned, making notes on her tablet as the conversation continued. There was something about the alien's tone that bothered her, a dismissiveness that reminded her of colonial powers from Earth's history. The Valerian ship invited a delegation from the Defiance * to tour their vessel. Miller selected the small team: himself, Hayes, Chief Engineer Alan Kelly, and Communications Officer Peter Simmons. The interior of the alien ship was even more impressive than its exterior. Corridors shifted and reconfigured themselves as they walked. Gravity changed direction without affecting human comfort. Displays appeared in midair, showing star systems Hayes had never seen. "This is our weapons control center," Zektor announced as they entered a spherical room. "Though I doubt you can comprehend the technology." Engineer Kelly studied the displays with obvious interest. "You use antimatter containment fields for your weapons systems." Zektor's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. "You recognize the principles. Perhaps you are not as primitive as I thought." The alien tapped a control, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's solar system. "Your species has potential. The Valerian Collective offers protection to developing worlds." "Protection?" Miller asked. "Yes. We would establish defensive positions throughout your system. In exchange, you would provide basic resources. Nothing you would miss. Water from your outer planets, certain minerals, perhaps some biological samples." Hayes recognized the offer for what it was: colonization with a friendly face. She caught Miller's eye and gave a slight shake of her head. Miller maintained his diplomatic expression. "That's a generous offer that would require consideration from our full government." "What exactly would Earth's status be in this arrangement?" "A protected client world, of course," Zektora said, as if speaking to a child. "You would benefit from our technology, though naturally at a pace your species could handle. We don't give antimatter weaponry to primitives who still use chemical rockets and kinetic projectiles." The alien gestured toward the weapons Hayes carried. A standard-issue sidearm. "Is that a gunpowder weapon? How charming. We abandoned such toys before your species discovered agriculture." Hayes said nothing, but her fingers flew across her tablet, documenting everything. She noted how the Valerians seemed to rely entirely on energy shields, how their movements suggested a species that evolved in lower gravity, how their technology, advanced as it was, followed specific patterns. As they returned to the *Defiance*, Miller maintained a respectful facade, but his jaw was tight. "Send a secure message to Admiral Russell," he told Simmons once they were aboard. "The Valyrians aren't here for friendship. They're shopping for a colony." Admiral Gregory Russell sat at the head of the long table in the United Earth Defense Council chamber. His weathered face showed no emotion as he listened to Captain Miller's report. The other council members whispered among themselves, faces tight with concern. "So they want to make us a protected world," Admiral Russell said when Miller finished. "A pet species." "That's my assessment, sir," Miller replied. "The Valyrians view us as primitives barely worth their time." The Admiral stood up. "Then we'll give them our answer in person. Prepare the *Defiance* for a return mission. I'll lead this one myself." 3 days later, Admiral Russell stood on the bridge of the *Defiance* as it approached the massive Valyrian ship. Lieutenant Hayes stood at her weapons station, watching the alien vessel grow larger on the view screen. "They're hailing us, sir," Communications Officer Peter Simmons announced. "On screen," Russell ordered. Zektor appeared, 3 eyes blinking in that unsettling pattern. "Admiral Russell, have you come to accept our generous offer of protection?" "High Commander," Russell began, his voice calm and measured. "Earth appreciates your interest in our system. However, we seek equal partnership, not protection. Humanity wishes to join the galactic community as peers, not as clients." All 3 of Zektora's eyes widened. "Peers, your civilization is barely interplanetary. You still use fossil fuels on your homeworld. Your weapon systems are based on principles we abandoned millennia ago." "Nevertheless, that is our position," Russell replied. The alien commander's silver skin flushed a dark blue. "Perhaps you misunderstand your situation. The collective does not negotiate with developing worlds. We offer protection, or we leave you to fend for yourselves. The galaxy is not a friendly place for isolated, primitive species." Chief Engineer Alan Kelly leaned toward Miller and whispered, "Is he threatening us?" Before Miller could answer, Zektora continued, "Allow me to demonstrate the difference between our civilizations. I invite you to observe a demonstration of Valyrian defensive and offensive capabilities." The alien ship deployed what appeared to be a small drone. It floated a kilometer away from both vessels. "Watch carefully," Zektora said. A beam of intense purple light shot from the Valyrian ship, vaporizing the drone instantly. The energy reading on the *Defiance's sensors spiked so high that several alarms triggered. "A standard antimatter beam weapon," Zektora explained. "Now, please, fire your most powerful weapon at our ship." Admiral Russell hesitated, then nodded to Lieutenant Hayes. "Load a Rapier missile. Target their ship." Hayes complied, though her expression showed doubt. The *Defiance* shuddered slightly as it launched the missile, Earth's most advanced weapon. The projectile streaked toward the Valyrian vessel. Just before impact, a shimmering field appeared around the alien ship. The missile exploded against it, creating a brilliant flash that quickly faded, leaving the Valyrian ship completely unharmed. Zektora laughed, a strange bubbling sound. "Kinetic weapons and chemical explosives. How quaint. Even your nuclear weapons would be useless against our shields." Engineer Kelly was furiously taking notes on his tablet. Hayes noticed and shifted her display, so he could see the sensor readings from the shield activation. "Your species has potential," Zektora continued. "In a few thousand years, you might develop technology approaching ours. Until then, you need our protection." Admiral Russell's face remained impassive. "We appreciate the demonstration, High Commander. Earth will consider your offer and respond appropriately." "Do not take too long," Zektora warned. "The collective has many interests in this sector. We will return in 6 of your months for your answer. I suggest wisdom rather than pride guide your decision." When the communication ended, Russell turned to the bridge crew. "Opinions." Lieutenant Hayes spoke first. Their shields have a specific activation pattern. They're designed for energy weapons, not physical impacts. Kelly nodded eagerly. And did you notice? They don't use any kinetic weapons at all. It's like they forgot that direction of development. Admiral Russell's eyes narrowed. Return to Earth. We have 6 months to prepare. And they've just shown us exactly what they expect us to do. 5 months had passed since the Valyrian ultimatum. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Dr. Olivia Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead as she examined the test results on her screen. Run it again, she told her team. Increase the acceleration by 5%. On the other side of the reinforced glass, a massive railgun fired a small projectile into a specially designed target. The impact created a flash so bright that the automatic filters on the observation window darkened instantly. Success, called out one of the younger scientists. The projectile reached 0.15 light speed before impact. Dr. Martinez allowed herself a small smile. Project Thunderbolt is ahead of schedule. Inform Admiral Russell. 2 days later, Captain John Miller walked through the underground facility, escorted by armed guards. The Admiral had recalled him from the outer colonies with urgent orders, but no explanation. Miller hadn't been back to Earth in 3 months. Dr. Martinez met him at the entrance to the main laboratory. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and deep circles under her eyes suggested she hadn't slept properly in weeks. Captain Miller, she said, offering her hand. Your reputation precedes you. As does yours, Doctor, Miller replied. Though I'm not sure why I'm here. Follow me. She led him into a massive chamber where dozens of engineers and scientists worked on what looked like a modified version of the Asterisk, Defiance's Asterisk weapon systems. Project Thunderbolt. Dr. Martinez explained. After your encounter with the Valyrians, Admiral Russell authorized a crash program to develop weapons that could penetrate their shields. Miller studied the equipment. These look like railguns, similar to what we already have. Similar, but fundamentally different, Martinez said. Lieutenant Hayes' observations were crucial. Valyrian shields are designed to stop energy weapons and slow-moving physical objects. They've never needed to defend against projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. She led him to another chamber where Engineer Alan Kelly was working on what looked like a missile casing. Captain, Kelly said, looking up with a grin. Glad you're here. These are beautiful machines. What exactly am I looking at? Miller asked. A delivery system, Kelly explained. Standard missiles to get past their initial defense perimeter. Then they release these. He held up a small object that looked like a metal rod about the size of his finger. Tungsten rods accelerated to 15% of light speed on final approach. No explosive, just pure kinetic energy. Dr. Martinez nodded. At that velocity, even a small projectile carries the energy of a tactical nuclear weapon, but concentrated in a tiny impact point. Their shields might diffuse energy weapons, but they can't stop something this small moving this fast. And the Asterisk Defiance Asterisk is being retrofitted to carry these weapons, a new voice said. Miller turned to see Admiral Russell entering the lab. Sir, Miller saluted. At ease, Captain, Russell said. We're installing the Thunderbolt system on the Asterisk Defiance Asterisk because it's our most advanced ship and because your crew has direct experience with the Valyrians. When will we be ready, sir? We're accelerating the timeline, Russell said gravely. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected a Valyrian fleet approaching. Not just one ship this time. At least 40 vessels, all larger than their first contact ship. Miller's face hardened. They're not coming for negotiations. No, Russell agreed. They're coming to take what they want. The Valyrians have already begun harvesting resources from our outer mining colonies without permission. 3 outposts have gone silent. The Thunderbolt system will be ready in 2 weeks, Dr. Martinez assured them. But it's untested in actual combat. It will have to be enough, Russell said. Captain Miller, I'm ordering you to take command of the Defiance as soon as the upgrades are complete. Lieutenant Hayes has already been briefed and is working on targeting systems specifically for Valyrian vessels. Miller looked around the lab at all the scientists and engineers working frantically. One ship against 40. Sometimes one is all you need, Russell said, especially when they're not expecting it. The Valyrian fleet arrived exactly 6 months after their first visit. 40 massive warships appeared near the orbit of Neptune, their hulls gleaming with the same iridescent blue-green material as the first contact vessel. On Earth, emergency alerts sounded in every major city. Civilians rushed to shelters as military forces worldwide mobilized. But everyone knew conventional weapons would be useless against the alien armada. In orbit around Earth, the Defiance floated silently. The ship looked much the same from the outside, but inside, it had been transformed. New systems filled previously empty compartments. The crew moved with quiet efficiency, each person aware that they might be humanity's last hope. Captain Miller sat in the command chair, reviewing final system checks. Status report. All systems operational. Engineer Kelly responded from his station. Thunderbolt is online and ready. Lieutenant Hayes spoke next. Targeting systems calibrated. We have enough ammunition for 12 shots per launcher. 6 launchers total. 72 shots against 40 ships, Miller said quietly. We'll need to make every one count. Communications Officer Ryan Garcia spoke up. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Valyrian fleet. On screen. High Commander Zektora appeared, looking even more imposing than before. Behind him stood several other Valyrians, all wearing what appeared to be military uniforms. People of Earth, Zektora began. Your time for consideration has ended. The collective requires your answer. Will you accept our protection and the responsibilities that come with it? Admiral Russell's face appeared on a separate screen, broadcast from Earth Command. The United Earth Defense Council has considered your offer, High Commander. We decline. Earth wishes to remain independent. The 3 eyes on Zektora's face narrowed. Independence is not an option for primitive species. Your technology is too limited to protect yourselves from the dangers of the galaxy. Nevertheless, that is our decision, Russell replied firmly. Then you leave us no choice. We will establish our presence in this system with or without your consent. You have 24 hours to surrender control of your orbital platforms and major resource centers. After that time, we will take what we need by force. The transmission ended abruptly. That went well, Garcia muttered, his fingers moving quickly over his console. Captain Miller turned to him. What are you doing? Intercepting their internal communications, sir, Garcia replied. They're using standard subspace frequencies. Their security isn't designed to keep out species they consider primitive. They don't think we can understand their language. But you can. Garcia nodded. Enough to get the basics. They're planning to target our major cities first, then our military installations. They want to break our will to resist quickly. Miller's jaw tightened. Prepare to move out. We need to position ourselves between Earth and their fleet. Sir, Lieutenant Hayes said, her voice hesitant, we're talking about 1 ship against 40. I know the odds, Lieutenant. What's our strategy, Captain? Kelly asked. Miller leaned forward in his chair. They expect us to either surrender or fight conventionally and lose. They don't expect us to have anything that can hurt them. He turned to Garcia. Send a message to Admiral Russell. The Defiance is moving to intercept the Valyrian fleet. The ship's engines came to life, pushing it out of Earth orbit toward the approaching armada. In the hours that followed, the crew prepared for what might be their final mission. Some wrote messages to loved ones. Others checked and rechecked their systems. All felt the weight of what was to come. As they approached the halfway point between Earth and the Valyrian fleet, Miller called the senior officers to the bridge. I won't lie to you, he said simply. Our chances are slim. But we have something they don't expect. They think our weapons are primitive and useless against them. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Defiance continued forward, a tiny speck against the vastness of space, moving to meet a fleet that could darken the skies of Earth. The Defiance hung in space, looking small and fragile against the backdrop of stars. Ahead, the Valyrian fleet had formed a precise formation, 40 ships arranged in a three-dimensional pattern that looked both beautiful and terrifying. On the bridge, Captain Miller watched the main screen with a calm expression that hid his inner tension. Time until they're in weapons range. 3 minutes, sir, Lieutenant Hayes replied from her station. Miller nodded. Open a channel to the Valyrian flagship. The face of High Commander Zektora appeared on screen, his 3 eyes blinking in that strange pattern. Captain Miller, have you come to surrender on behalf of your planet? Not exactly, Miller replied. I've come to request a demonstration. Zektora's head tilted. A demonstration? Yes. Before hostilities begin, I'd like my crew to fully understand what we're facing. Would you be willing to show us your weapons capabilities on an unmanned target? The alien commander laughed. You wish to witness your own destruction in advance. Very well. It may serve as a valuable lesson for your species. Miller gestured to Garcia. We're releasing an old communications satellite. Feel free to use it for target practice. The Defiance launched a small satellite, letting it drift between the two forces. Observe, Zektora said. One of the smaller Valyrian ships fired a beam of brilliant purple energy. The satellite exploded instantly, leaving nothing but floating particles. Satisfied? Zektora asked. Miller appeared to slump slightly in his chair. Most impressive. Would you mind showing us your shield technology as well? We've prepared a simple missile test. The alien commander's mouth formed what might have been a smile. Fire your best weapon, Captain. It will change nothing. Miller nodded to Hayes, who launched a standard Earth missile toward the Valyrian flagship. As expected, a shimmering field appeared around the alien vessel just before impact. The missile exploded harmlessly against it. Your primitive projectiles are useless, Zektora said. Now, will you surrender, or must we destroy your vessel before proceeding to your homeworld? Miller straightened in his chair. Thank you for the demonstration, High Commander. It was most informative. He signaled Garcia to cut the transmission. Did you get what you needed? Miller asked Hayes. She nodded, her fingers flying over her console. Yes, sir. Dr. Martinez was right. Their shields have a specific activation sequence and frequency. They're calibrated for energy weapons and standard velocity projectiles. She looked up, eyes bright. They don't maintain their shields constantly. They activate them only when they detect an incoming threat. Perfect, Miller said. He turned to Kelly. Status of the Thunderbolt system. Ready and calibrated based on Lieutenant Hayes' data, Kelly replied. Dr. Martinez is standing by on the secure channel for any needed adjustments. Miller addressed the entire bridge crew. This is it. The moment we fire, we lose the element of surprise. We need to make our shots count. He tapped his console. All hands, battle stations. Throughout the ship, crew members moved to their positions, faces tense but determined. What's our plan, Captain? Garcia asked, his voice steady despite the fear visible in his eyes. We're going to run, Miller said. Run? Several voices asked simultaneously. Miller smiled. The Valyrians think we're primitives. They expect us to either fight and die quickly or surrender. They don't expect us to retreat. He turned to the helm officer. Set course away from Earth. Full thrust. The Defiance turned and accelerated rapidly, moving away from both Earth and the Valyrian fleet. They're pursuing, sir, Hayes reported. All 40 ships. Good, Miller said. They think we're cowards. Let's lead them a bit further from Earth, past Mars' orbit. Why Mars, sir? Garcia asked. Miller's smile grew slightly. Because that's where we placed our surprises. And because when we stop running and turn to fight, I want to be far enough from Earth that any stray shots won't endanger our home. The Defiance raced through space, the vastly more powerful Valyrian fleet following behind, unaware they were being led into a trap. The Defiance raced through space, engines burning at maximum thrust. Behind it, the 40 ships of the Valyrian fleet followed in hot pursuit. Their formation was perfect, their coordination flawless. They moved like a school of predatory fish, chasing what they believed was easy prey. "We've passed Mars orbit," the helm officer announced. Captain Miller nodded. "Perfect. Engineer Kelly, are we in range of the buoys?" Kelly checked his console. "Yes, sir. All stealth buoys are operational and awaiting activation signal." Lieutenant Hayes, status of the Thunderbolt system. "Fully charged and ready, Captain," she replied. Targeting systems calibrated based on the data from their shield demonstration. Miller looked around the bridge. Every crew member was focused on their station, faces tense but determined. "All right. It's time. Helm, on my mark. Execute a full stop and 180-degree turn." Garcia looked up from his console. "Sir, the Valyrians are transmitting to each other. They're laughing at us. They're saying humans are cowards who run when faced with superior force." Miller smiled slightly. "Let them laugh." For about 30 more seconds, he straightened in his chair. "Helm, execute maneuver now." The Defiance fired reverse thrusters at full power. The ship shuddered as it rapidly decelerated, then pivoted to face the approaching Valyrian fleet. "Engineer Kelly, activate the buoys," Miller ordered. Kelly pressed a sequence on his console. "Buoys activated, sir." Throughout the space surrounding the Defiance and extending toward the approaching aliens, small devices that had been hidden weeks earlier suddenly powered up. They were barely larger than a basketball, designed to be invisible to standard scans. Now they began emitting a specific frequency of radiation. "The lead Valyrian ships are entering the buoy field," Hayes reported. "Their shields are fluctuating." Miller leaned forward. "As we suspected, their shields are calibrated for energy weapons, not the specific radiation from our buoys." He turned to Hayes. "Target their lid ship and fire when ready." Hayes' fingers moved quickly over her targeting controls. Target locked. Firing Thunderbolt. The Defiance shuddered slightly as the first Thunderbolt round launched. Unlike a conventional missile, there was no bright flare, no obvious projectile, just a small tungsten rod, accelerated to 15% of light speed. On the view screen, the crew watched as the rod struck the lead Valyrian ship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a small point on the alien vessel's hull began to glow white-hot. The glow spread rapidly, and suddenly, the entire ship erupted in a massive explosion. Stunned silence filled the bridge of the Defiance. "Direct hit," Hayes finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Their shields failed to stop the projectile." "The other Valyrian ships are slowing," Garcia reported. "They're trying to figure out what just happened." "Don't give them time," Miller ordered. "Target the next ship." Hayes fired a second Thunderbolt round. Again, a Valyrian vessel exploded as the hypervelocity projectile punched through its hull. "They're breaking formation," Garcia exclaimed. "Their communications are chaotic. They can't believe their shields are failing." Miller stood up. "Open a channel to the Valyrian fleet." "Channel open." "Sir." "Valyrian vessels, this is Captain John Miller of Earth, ship Defiance. You called our weapons primitive. You laughed at our technology. Perhaps you should have paid more attention to the basics of physics. Each of our primitive projectiles carries the energy of a nuclear weapon concentrated on a point smaller than your finger. Your shields are designed for energy weapons, not physical impacts at relativistic speeds. Return to your territory immediately, or we will continue firing." There was no response from the Valyrian fleet. Instead, several ships began charging their weapons. "They're not retreating, sir," Hayes reported. Miller nodded grimly. Then we show them exactly what Earth's primitive weapons can do. Target their largest vessels first. Let's make sure this is a lesson the Valyrian collective never forgets. The *Defiance* moved forward, a single ship against a fleet, armed with the power of human ingenuity and the element of surprise. The first Valyrian ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Pieces of its beautiful hull scattered across space like glittering confetti. The bridge crew of the *Defiance* stared in stunned silence. Their plan had worked. Direct hit, Lieutenant Hayes reported, her voice steady despite the adrenaline pumping through her system. Thunderbolt penetrated their shields completely. Captain Miller nodded. Target the next vessel. Let's keep moving. The Valyrian fleet had fallen into disarray. They had never expected their shields to fail. They had never imagined that a primitive human vessel could harm them. Now, panic spread through their ranks. They're trying to regroup, Garcia said, monitoring the alien communications. They can't believe what just happened. They're asking each other if it was some kind of accident. Let's show them it wasn't, Miller replied. Lieutenant Hayes, target their second largest ship. Hayes locked onto the target. The Thunderbolt system hummed as it charged. Firing. The second shot streaked from the *Defiance* toward the Valyrian vessel. Unlike conventional missiles, the Thunderbolt projectile was nearly invisible. A small tungsten rod accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. It struck the alien ship before their shields could fully activate. The impact released energy equivalent to a nuclear explosion, but concentrated in a single point. The Valyrian ship broke apart, its reactor core detonating in a secondary explosion. 2 down, Kelly said, monitoring the weapon systems. 38 to go. Sir, they're changing formation, Hayes warned, spreading out to make targeting harder. Miller smiled slightly. They're starting to take us seriously. Good. Garcia, open a broadcast channel to all Valyrian ships. Channel open, sir. Miller stood up from his chair. Valyrian fleet. This is Captain John Miller of Earth vessel *Defiance*. You came to our system uninvited. You threatened our planet. You called our technology primitive. Yet 2 of your ships are already destroyed. Withdraw now, or we will continue. There was no immediate response. Then 3 Valyrian ships fired their energy weapons simultaneously at the *Defiance*. The human vessel lurched as the beams struck its hull. Damage report, Miller called out. Hull plating down to 60%, Kelly reported. Their weapons are powerful, but our new armor is holding. They're charging for another volley, Hayes warned. Evasive maneuvers, Miller ordered. And target their lead ship. The *Defiance* twisted and turned, moving in patterns that the larger Valyrian ships couldn't match. Hayes fired another Thunderbolt round. A third alien vessel erupted in flames and broken metal. Garcia, are you broadcasting our battle? Miller asked. Yes, sir. To all Earth colonies and on frequencies the Valyrians use. Everyone is watching. Miller nodded. Good. I want the galaxy to see this. The battle continued as the *Defiance* darted between the Valyrian ships. The human vessel was smaller and more agile, while the alien ships were designed for formation fighting against similar opponents. They had never developed tactics for fighting a single fast opponent with weapons that could pierce their defenses. 4 more Valyrian ships fell to the Thunderbolt system. The remaining aliens tried to adapt, firing continuously to keep the *Defiance* at bay. But their shots mostly missed as the human ship weaved through space. Sir, I'm picking up energy readings from the Valyrian flagship, Hayes reported. They're charging some kind of massive weapon. Target that ship next, Miller ordered. Hayes aimed and fired. The Thunderbolt round struck the Valyrian flagship just as it was preparing to fire its main weapon. The impact caused a chain reaction. The flagship didn't just break apart. It disintegrated in a blinding explosion that damaged 2 nearby Valyrian vessels. 7 down, Miller said. But we've used half our Thunderbolt ammunition. The remaining ships are pulling back, Garcia reported. They're calling for reinforcements, but they're weeks away at their fastest speed. Miller smiled grimly. Then we have time to finish this fight. The Valyrians came expecting easy prey. Instead, they found humans. He looked around at his crew, and humans don't surrender. The Defiance moved forward, targeting the next Valyrian ship as the battle for Earth's freedom continued among the stars. 3 weeks after the battle, Captain John Miller stood in the Grand Hall of the United Earth Defense Council. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating the faces of world leaders and military officers who had gathered for this historic moment. Admiral Russell approached the podium, his dress uniform adorned with medals. Today, we welcome representatives from the Valyrian Collective, not as conquerors, but as equals seeking peace. Miller watched as 3 Valyrians entered the hall. They moved with the same fluid grace he remembered, but their posture lacked the arrogance of before. Leading them was not Zektora, but a new emissary named Vozarin. The collective extends greetings to the sovereign world of Earth, Vozarin said, bowing slightly. We come to negotiate a treaty between our peoples. Miller thought back to the final moments of the battle. After destroying 17 Valyrian ships, the Defiance had run out of Thunderbolt ammunition. The remaining Valyrian vessels, rather than pressing their advantage, had withdrawn to a safe distance. 2 days later, they had sent a message requesting talks. Now, as he watched the proceedings, Miller felt a mix of pride and caution. Lieutenant Hayes stood beside him, her face showing similar emotions. They're afraid of us now, she whispered. No, Miller replied. They respect us. That's better than fear. The formal negotiations continued for hours. When they concluded, Admiral Russell approached Miller and Hayes. It's done, Russell said. Earth is recognized as a full sovereign power. We'll exchange technology and establish trade relations, and there will be no more talk of protection or primitive species. Did they explain why they retreated? Hayes asked. They still had 23 ships. They could have overwhelmed us. Russell smiled. Apparently, our broadcast of the battle reached more than just their fleet. Other species in their collective saw it too. Saw how one primitive ship could stand against their best technology. It caused quite a stir. The celebration that followed was subdued but heartfelt. Earth had faced its first interstellar threat and survived. 6 months later, Miller stood on the observation deck of the newly christened Earth space station. Through the viewport, he could see ships from a dozen different worlds, including 3 Valyrian vessels. Engineers from both species worked together, sharing knowledge. Captain Miller, a voice called. He turned to see Dr. Olivia Martinez approaching, followed by a Valyrian scientist. Doctor, Miller greeted her. How's the joint research going? Fascinating, Martinez replied. The Valyrians are brilliant with energy systems, and they're surprisingly interested in our primitive kinetic weapons research. She gestured to her companion. This is lead researcher Kelmark. The Valyrian bowed slightly. Your Thunderbolt system was most educational. We had forgotten the potential of physical projectiles millennia ago. Our entire defense system was built around energy weapons. A dangerous oversight, Miller commented. Yes, agreed Kelmarch, one we are now correcting. Just as your people are learning from our shield technology. As they talked, Lieutenant Hayes entered, carrying a data tablet. Captain, the new defense grid is online. Earth is now protected by a shield system based on Valyrian technology, but modified to stop both energy and kinetic threats. Miller nodded. No one will catch us unprepared again. Later that day, Miller met with Admiral Russell in a quiet corner of the station. I have new orders for you and the Defiance Russell said. We're sending you deeper into space. There are more species out there, more potential friends and enemies. We need to be ready. The Defiance will be ready, sir, Miller assured him. I know. Russell handed him a data chip. This is the story of your battle against the Valyrian fleet. It's being taught in every military academy on Earth. And I'm told in Valyrian schools as well. Miller looked out at the stars. They laughed at our weapons. Nobody's laughing now, Russell replied. The galaxy has learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humans. As Miller returned to his ship, he thought about the future. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through submission or superior technology, but through courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to fight against impossible odds. The qualities that had defined humanity throughout its history would now carry it into a much larger universe, and the universe would never be the same.